The Minotaurs are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes that were officially created during the 21st Cursed founding. Like their namesake, the warriors of the chapter are notable for their brutality and for being nigh unstoppable in battle. Many view the chapter as being little more than arrogant, rampaging berserkers who willfully ignore the carefully constructed plans of their allies in order to meet the enemy head-on to crush them. As a result, the Minotaurs have garnered somewhat of an unsavory reputation in recent times. Because of this, the chapter itself is often shunned by many branches of the Imperial military machine, despite the Minotaurs themselves being noted, even lauded, for their rapid response to any calls for aid and reinforcement. Regardless of the chapter's standing, they have proven themselves time and time again victorious within multiple theatres of war, and few can deny their effectiveness upon the battlefield. The chapter itself is also somewhat unique within its particular founding. Unlike many of the other chapters born as a result of the Cursed founding, such as the Black Dragons or the Flame Falcons, the Minotaurs are notable due to the fact that they have not suffered from any exacerbated genetic flaws, nor have they manifested any notable physical mutations. However, it has been suggested that the barely controllable fury exhibited by the Battle Brothers of the chapter may be a result of some psychological flaw. Despite their infamy, this current incarnation of the Minotaurs chapter is not the first chapter to bear the name. Within Imperial records, there existed another chapter known as the Minotaurs that were documented to exist as far back as M32, and this particular representation of the chapter would be praised for their efforts in the conflict known as the Solar Rebellion. The modern-day Minotaurs chapter would vanish suddenly and unexpectedly from Imperial records sometime around M38, with their deeds actively being suppressed or expunged via a series of political edicts and data purges. It would not be until early M41, during the events of the Macarian heresy, that any information pertaining to the chapter, their deeds and battle honours would become documented once more. Despite supposedly being lost for centuries, with the exact circumstances befalling them during this time being a mystery in its own right, what is known is that when the Minotaurs re-emerged after their long absence, the chapter was at peak fighting strength, boasting an almost suspiciously large amount of battle brothers, weaponry, armor, ships and other logistical supplies. The chapter's sudden reappearance, combined with their unexpectedly high military strength for a chapter deemed previously lost, has raised suspicion with many members of the Inquisition. It is commonly assumed that the Minotaurs have some sort of connection to the High Lords of Terror, who have been providing the chapter such high quantities of materiel for unknown purposes. This suspicion held by the Inquisition is only reinforced further due to the fact that most of the records detailing the Minotaurs' past have been sealed away within the Vaults of Terror or have been conveniently mislaid, with the Inquisition themselves being unable to access what little records that do exist regarding the chapter. Not only this, but there are many within the Inquisition who have concerns regarding the source of the chapter's Geneseed. Not only are the Minotaurs' Primogenitor Legion and Primarch completely unknown, but more worryingly, the records detailing the chapter's genetic heritage are in fact classified. So what could be the source of the Minotaurs' Geneseed? According to Imperial Armor Volume 10, despite the fact that the majority of information regarding the chapter is classified, there do exist some scattered and fragmentary records relating to the genetic heritage of the Minotaurs. The Geneseed of the chapter has been branded by the Adeptus Mechanicus as being chimeric, and it has even been suggested that the very source of their Geneseed has been mixed, tampered with, or even drawn from a prohibited source. The idea that the Geneseed of the Minotaurs has been tampered with is unsurprising, as the very intention behind the 21st founding was to perfect the Astartes' genetic template by removing any deficiencies found within their respective gene seeds, despite the final result being less than optimal. The idea of the gene seed being made from a mixture of sources, while extremely rare, is not entirely outside the realm of possibility, as there have been a number of other Astartes who bear or are rumoured to bear a hybridized gene seed. The most notable of these is that of the Relictors chapter. The Relictors are a chapter that was founded as one of the Astartes Praeses, chapters that were established for the sole purpose of defending the regions of space that lay close to the warp rift known as the Eye of Terror. The source of the Relictors' gene seed is, somewhat unusually, claimed to be a hybridized mix of Ultramarine and Dark Angel genetic stock. Even amongst the traitor legions, there have been many individuals who have a mixed genetic heritage. One of the most notorious was the Iron Warrior's warsmith, known as Honsu, whose gene seed came from both the Iron Warrior's apothecary, Solaka, and the Imperial Fist's captain, Felix Cassander. While the other members of the Iron Warriors would initially look down upon Honsu due to him being deemed a half-breed, Honsu would, in time, rise to power, eventually leading a massive army to invade the realm of Ultramar. But the fact of simply having a hybridized gene seed would surely not require all other records pertaining to the genetic heritage of the Minotaurs to be classified. This would strongly indicate that the source of the Minotaur's gene seed would indeed be one that is prohibited. Deep within the Vaults of Terror, the gene seed from all 20 of the original Space Marine legions remains locked away within a series of vast repositories. As such, there is a chance that the Minotaurs of the 21st founding utilized the gene seed of one of the traitor Primarchs, or perhaps, due to the strict secrecy regarding its original source, one of the two lost Primarchs. If the Minotaurs make use of genetic material derived from one of the traitor legions, then there are two primary candidates in this regard. The first of which is that of the World Eaters Legion and their Primarch, Angron. This is primarily due to the sheer berserk fury demonstrated by the Minotaurs chapter being reminiscent of the behavioural traits displayed by the World Eaters Legion. However, it is important to note that the majority of the World Eaters' hyper-aggressive tendencies were due in part to the surgical alterations applied to the warriors of the Legion, implanting devices known as Butcher's Nails within their brains. These implants would drive the World Eaters into a berserker state, causing them intense pain which could only be alleviated through the act of slaughter. That being said, however, it should be worth noting that the initial recruits for the original incarnation of the Legion, the Warhounds, were drawn from the most competitive and aggressive candidates. In a similar vein to the World Eaters forcing their recruits to have the Butcher's Nails surgically implanted within their skulls, the Minotaurs are also documented to force their aspirants to undergo psycho-indoctrination and neurocerebral surgery, which the Minotaurs claim is to help accelerate the transition between neophyte, scout, and full initiate of the chapter. Upon the field of battle, the Warhounds, prior to their reunion with their Primarch, were also documented for making steady and unrelenting advances upon the enemy, similar to that of the modern-day Minotaurs chapter, in addition to their merciless attitude. The second potential source of the Minotaur's gene seed, should it truly be drawn from traitor stock, is that of the Iron Warriors Legion and their Primarch, Perturabo. This particular comparison is due in part to not only similar battlefield tactics, but also due to certain psychological similarities displayed by both factions. Both forces are known for specializing or excelling in siege warfare, thanks to not only their unwavering assaults and merciless dispositions, but also due to the similar usage of heavy armor, artillery, and logistical support demonstrated by both factions. Both groups are also known for incorporating tight defensive formations and installations when taking to the field, as well as being tremendously rigid with their security protocols. The Minotaurs in particular are noted for being extremely diligent in this matter, even towards their supposed allies. Psychologically, the Iron Warriors and the Minotaurs are both shown to demonstrate a callous disregard to those from outside their respective groups, and are known for their displays of malice and even petty spite towards others, even the forces that they fight alongside. While these similarities could admittedly be chalked up to coincidence, it is incredibly important to note that, even when disregarding these aforementioned similarities as being coincidental, both the Iron Warriors and the Minotaurs share an almost identical psychological flaw: paranoia. Index Astartes Volume 1 states that those who bear the Geneseed of the Iron Warriors have a tendency to become suspicious of all others to the point of extreme paranoia, while Imperial Armor Volume 10 notes that the Minotaur's obsession with security is touched by the madness of obsessive paranoia. As such, it would be difficult to chalk up such near identical similarities between the two as being merely a coincidence, suggesting that there is in fact a more deliberate link between them both. Perhaps the truth lies with both the Iron Warriors and the World Eaters. After all, the Geneseed of the Minotaurs is stated outright to be chimeric, which in itself would seem to lean towards the notion of some sort of hybridization within its creation. Perhaps in this regard, the High Lords of Terra sought to create the ultimate force to combat against other Space Marine chapters, in particular those who turn from the Emperor's light or otherwise go rogue. By fusing the aggression and savagery of the World Eaters, or rather that of the original Warhound's Legion, with the tenacity and unrelenting advance of the Iron Warriors, the High Lords of Terra had created something that could only be described as blasphemous, a necessary evil created to stand against the most dangerous foes imaginable. This would certainly explain as to why all records pertaining to the genetic heritage of the Minotaurs chapter continue to remain classified, even to organizations as politically powerful as the Inquisition. But there is a final question that needs to be asked. Just what sort of relationship is held between the Minotaurs and the High Lords of Terra? Attempts to answer that particular question will come all in due time. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.